If you'd like to be out there along the road, welcome to me.
Now, you know, we're not here to be mean or evil.
Then with DMP.
Because otherwise people are going to be standing in front of you. If you've got a chair and you want to be close, get real close. Because we're gonna bring everybody in as close.
We'd like to welcome everyone to the 2020 Riders USA Second Amendment Rally. We're glad you're all with us today. Right now, I'd like to introduce Mr. Tim Rafferty, the President of Riders USA.
Thank you, folks. My name's Tim Rafferty, and on behalf of Riders USA's Board of Directors, officers, and our entire membership, we want to express our sincere gratitude to you for joining in this year's Celebrate and Protect the Second Amendment here at the beautiful Arizona State Capitol. I'd like to start the celebration off by introducing to you Mark Del Mastro, who will do our invocation.
We always start all our meetings acknowledging God. I'll wait for the sirens to go by. Thank you all for being here today. We have a huge job to do. We need to vote out our enemies. We need to vote them out. All right, we can't wait for the signs to go away, so let's just say a prayer to God. God chooses the color of our skin, and God chooses if we are a man or a woman. And God chooses our parents and our brothers and our sisters. And God chooses the nation we are born in. And thank you, dear God in heaven, for putting all of us in the greatest nation the world has ever known. Thank you for the greatest gift any of us will have ever received from you, dear God. Born free in the United States of America. We know that this gift comes with an obligation, a responsibility to hold this nation and you, dear God, in high esteem. And that is our quest. And that is our prayer, that you will give us the strength and the courage to carry on, to keep you in our name, in our glory. Please, God, please, watch over our troops and our police and our firemen and our first responders. And please, dear God, watch over our children and our grandchildren, especially our children and our grandchildren, especially them. In you, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, in you, Almighty God, we trust. Amen.
Our first guest is an active duty U.S. Army Sergeant and has served in the Army for 12 years. He is currently attached to the 13th 48th Support Maintenance Company. One of his most recent missions was to serve in the border security operations at our southern border in conjunction with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. He is an avid defender of our Constitution, especially our Second Amendment. Please join Sergeant Michael Munoz, United States Army, in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I said who? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sergeant. Our next guest is an entrepreneur with a passion for fashion and the outdoors. An avid huntress and fierce businesswoman, she has filled the gap in the fashion industry between women's hunting and outdoor sports apparel. In 2014, she served as the hunting director with the Arizona State Rifle and Pistol Association and as its vice president in 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mary Hagan as she sings our national anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Mary. Riders USA has been presenting this Second Amendment celebration for the past 7 years as a means of bringing Second Amendment loving folks together. Have we done it? You know, protecting the Second Amendment is not a right issue or a left issue, and you as individuals are proof that supporting the Second Amendment covers the entire spectrum of our political and social worlds. It would be impossible for all of us to agree on every single issue affecting our country. But today, in Arizona, in this space and at this time for 4 hours, we all come together as one unit, united in celebrating our Constitution, specifically the Second Amendment. You have all done Arizona proud. In Riders USA's mission statement, we have a section regarding educating the public, and today's event is one of several events that Riders USA produces each year to fulfill that mission. We are here every year, so please come back next year. Our next guest is the winner of last year's rifle raffle, Mr. Sean Johnson and his son Jason. Give them a good round of applause. Sean, I'm assuming that that rifle you won last year, it's been used? Oh yeah, well that's good. And you like it, right?
Oh yeah.
No complaints? And if anybody wants to get a chance of winning this year's raffle, you go over to the Riders USA booth. We're selling raffle tickets for $10. It's a Ruger AR, and it's American flag Korea coat, and we got a couple other prizes. In addition to supporting our Second Amendment, Sean is a perfect example of how to raise our children when it comes to civics, as you're about to see. Reciting a portion of our Declaration of Independence, please give a warm welcome to Jason Johnson.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights governments are instituted among men, dividing their just powers with the consent of the governed.
You sure he's not 40?
And lastly, but oh so important, Writers USA would like to acknowledge our partners in this celebration, AZ Firearms and Gun Freedom Radio. This is the second year in a row that they have partnered with us, and their zeal to protect the Second Amendment is second to none. Thank you so much, Dan, Cheryl, Casey, and Kim. Ladies and gentlemen, our co-MC for today's event is a second-generation rights activist and director of the Firearms Coalition, a group his father founded in 1984. He is a frequent speaker at events around the country and regularly appears on radio and television programs as well as podcasts and other online media. He is a regular columnist for Firearms News Magazine and AmmoLand Shooting Sports News. His work has also appeared in numerous publications from Handguns Magazine to USA Today newspaper. He was one of the organizers of the 2019 Second Amendment rally just held in D.C. and has won multiple awards for his writings and activism, including the Grassroots Activist of the Year Award in 2007 at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. A graduate of Prescott High School, he and his family lives and works in Buckeye. Please welcome Mr. Jeff Knox. Jeff's co-MC is the executive producer and co-host of Gun Freedom Radio, owner of AZ Firearms, Pot of Gold Estate Auctions, and founder of the grassroots movement Polka Dots Are My Camo. She serves on several boards, including the Arizona Citizens Defense League, the Arizona State Rifle and Pistol Association, and the Arizona Association of Women Law Enforcement Officers. She is the Arizona delegate to the DC Project and travels the country, speaking as a champion for her Second Amendment rights. A regular contributor on several gun-related news platforms, she has won multiple awards for her work as a driving force in preserving the legacy of freedom for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Cheryl Todd. Folks, we're going to have a great time. We want to thank everybody for showing up. And remember, we do this every February, every year, right here. So put it on your calendar. And with that, I'll turn it over to Cheryl and Jeff.
Good morning, Gun Lobby. Before we get started, I just want to give a special thanks to 12 members of the Arizona State Senate, the jack wagons that introduced this assault weapons bill. They helped get you guys out here, and we sure appreciate it. Now, if anybody doesn't know Cheryl Todd, you're missing something. Cheryl is, I'm proud to stand next to her up here on this platform. Cheryl is the owner of AZ Firearms and Pot of Gold Estate Auctions. AZ Firearms was the coolest little gun shop that I've ever been in, and now it's much bigger. So if you haven't been up there, got to go up there and see it. I'm going to leave it up to Cheryl from here on out. We're going to let her talk a little bit, and then we're going to get through the rest of our speakers. Is everybody ready to have a great day? Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Cheryl Todd.
Good morning, Patriots.
This is a phenomenal day, and any day that I get to have Jeff Knox introduce me is a pretty dang good day in my life. I am incredibly blessed to be friends with him and all of the speakers that'll be coming up. And, we thought we were going to have to encourage everybody to come close for my signature stage selfie, but it looks like you guys are doing a good job anyway. So on the count of 3, let's give a big yeehaw for a selfie. Phoenix, you are gorgeous. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I am blessed to wear all the hats that both Tim and Jeff just described to you. But in addition to that, I am a wife, I'm a mom, and I'm a grandma. And I just have to take a second and just say that my beautiful little family is right here in front. And my daughter Cassie and my son-in-law Jason are actually here today celebrating today their 10th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. So yes, I am all those things, a wife, a mom, a grandma, and I am a passionate supporter of our Second Amendment rights to keep arms and to bear arms. So let's talk about the Second Amendment. We have come here today to celebrate and protect. That is a beautiful sound. Oh my gosh, those roaring engines going by. We have come here today to celebrate and to protect this idea, this value, and this God-given right that we call the Second Amendment. Do you know that you and I have friends and neighbors who don't even know what the Second Amendment is? Thank you. They don't even know what the Constitution is. Do you also know that you and I have friends and neighbors who have made this idea, this value, this God-given right a political topic, and therefore a divisive and a no-no topic that we can't even discuss in polite company? Well, I am here today to set the record straight once again, and as many times as I need to, that the Second Amendment, which was written into the Bill of Rights by our founding fathers as a firewall to protect us from the politicians' power over our lives, is not a political issue. What it is preciously and uniquely American, and it belongs to every single American, not to a political party, not to a 3-letter rights organization. It is yours individually, and it is mine, and it is our children's and our children's children's, unless we allow the left and the right to continue to use it as a political football, kicking it around, deflating it, and stuffing it into the footlocker of historical footnotes. Not on our watch. Not on our watch. My fellow patriots, as stewards of this inheritance of liberty, we must prevent the deflation of our rights from happening. We must push back on the rights deniers and the Bloomberg-financed moms who demand some unnamed action. And we must demand education, not legislation. Say it with me. Education, not legislation. Education, not legislation. Well, our founders, you know what they promised us? They promised us one thing, and one thing only, that in order to preserve our legacy of freedom, it would require from us eternal vigilance. They knew that every single day some tyrant somewhere would be trying to trick us with emotion or outright steal our children's futures. And in order to protect our children's futures from these snake oil salesmen of emotion-laden gun control, every one of us must be educated, informed, engaged, and we must vote. We must vote for public servants who will not just pay lip service, but actually defend the Constitution as though their lives and ours depend on it. In closing, I want to make the issue of voting very, very clear. It is not an event, it is a process of educating ourselves, understanding and knowing what the issues and who the candidates are, and voting for someone who will represent us in that office. So I, myself, I am a single issue voter. The Second Amendment, period. And here is why. The stance that a politician takes concerning the Second Amendment is very revealing, and much more revealing than they would like us to realize. You see, wrapped up in that one issue are that politician's attitudes towards mine and your civil rights, personal rights, human rights, women's rights, and the rights of their minority and lower socioeconomic constituents. You see, those who are anti-gun are also anti-civil rights, anti-human rights, anti-personal rights, anti-women's rights, and anti-minority rights. They asked for my vote to expand their power to limit our liberty and freedom. And I say no. As for me and my house, I will always support the people who protect and defend our Bill of Rights, our Second Amendment, and our legacy of freedom, and who stand for education, not legislation. Education, not legislation. One more time. Education, not legislation. Thank you. That's my time. Love you back. All right. I am beyond excited to introduce our next speaker. You have seen him. If you know anything about what a YouTube is, you have definitely seen this man. He has a passion like no other for our constitutional rights, and he is the host of the Brandon Tatum Show on KTAR. I bring to the stage Brandon Tatum.
What's going on? God-fearing, God-toting patriots. I want the whole valley to hear us do this chant. Shall not be infringed. I want y'all to repeat after me. Shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. Let me tell you something. I love the Second Amendment. God gave it to me. Not one politician, not one government legislation can take it from me. Period. And I want to make this clear as well. If you want to come and get my rifle, good luck. Come to my house and you're going to have a big problem. Now look, the politicians, and we need to be very clear about this, the politicians who are pushing this are the Democrats. This is not a legislation that would be considered to be what they call legislation for, I'm trying to think of the whack words that they use. I don't know what the words they use, but this is not legislation to manage anything related to our Second Amendment. This is gun confiscation. That's all it is. Gun confiscation. I have my AR, I have all the guns in my house to protect my children, to protect my family from the very thing that we're facing. The SB 1625 is a joke. We will not stand for it. We stand up for our constitutional rights. And let me tell you this. It's a slippery slope. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. We all know the numbers. 60% of gun deaths in this country are suicide. 22 times more people are shot with handguns than rifles. 5 times more people are killed with knives than rifles. And if they want to take your rifle today, they're going to make an excuse to take your handgun tomorrow. We will not stand for it. And I want you guys to give yourselves another round of applause for being here. You could have stayed at home. You could have cowered out. But we came here to set the tempo and to make an example. All right? So I'm going to leave here with this. God gave us this right. And the only person, the only legislation or anything that can take it is going to have to be God himself. God bless you guys. Thank y'all for coming. That's my time.
USA!
Give it up for Brandon Tatum.
USA!
Our next speaker really should need no introduction. He's the founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. He is one of the stalwarts. He has done so much for the Second Amendment over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friend, Alan Gottlieb. Alan, where's your tie?
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday. It's sunny. I'm outside. It's great to be here with you all. It's really great to see this growing Second Amendment family out here.
Good hear you, Alan.
And we're all here because you guys are out on the front line. You are the Second Amendment first responders. And it's much appreciated by gun owners all across the country. You know, it's really battle stations these days. The war on our gun rights has really gone nuclear. You know, a year or two ago we were being called deplorables. Now they call us terrorists. A year ago they were demonizing us. Now they're ostracizing us. You know, they're calling us murderers like we're responsible for crimes that other people commit. The media has been worse than ever. It's so one-sided, it's unreal. Never report good gun use. They never report fair stories about gun owners. It is so biased and so polarizing that it really is an extra great threat to our rights these days. You know, money and paid gun prohibition lobbyists, their staff is really outgunning us and outnumbering us. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but every town for gun violence now has over 400 employees nationwide, working capitals all across the country trying to take our gun rights away. Add that to the fact that Bloomberg, who supports them, has over 1,000 paid staff members. Shortly will be 2,000 paid staff members for his campaign for president, that he has guaranteed employment through November. So if he drops out or doesn't get his nomination, there's going to be another 2,000 people working against our gun rights full-time on a daily basis. You know, Bloomberg is trying to complete his leveraged buyout of our gun rights, and we must not let him.
He opened an office in Tolleson.
We're being attacked these days multiple ways, not just legislation, not just legal action in the courts, but you've got the banking industry, the insurance industry, zoning commissions, taxing, social media giants trying to stop us from reaching people across our country with our message. But they can't stop firearms freedom from spreading. Major corporations are attacking our gun rights. Over 145 major CEOs, investment bankers, and hedge fund leaders are now out there pushing for gun control all across the country, using their influence, their money, and their high visibility. Why? A lot of this, again, is orchestrated by Michael Bloomberg, who deals an awful lot with their money through his Bloomberg investment stuff. What they can't ban by legislation, they're trying to do by fiat. But this is good news. Our opponents are now really exposed. From Beto to Bloomberg, they've done us a big favor. You know, when O'Rourke made his remarks at the Houston Democratic presidential debate and said, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15s and your AK-47s, he did us a great favor. Bloomberg has even said the ammunition in your firearms should be limited to 3 rounds. Biden said there's no right to own any firearm. Elizabeth Warren, if elected, said she'd ban guns by executive fiat. You know, some Democrats have criticized these remarks, not because they disagree with what these people said, because they were made public and they help energize and organize our people, and a lot of reasons why you're here today. You know, all the Democratic candidates for president are extremely extreme in their gun positions. They no longer claim gun safety or common sense gun control, the arguments they've been using to try and get Americans on their side, but they're now the party of confiscation and prohibition. You know, our base is fired up. Look at the recent rally in Virginia, where our rights are really on the front line. 22,000 people showing up at a gun rights rally, an all-time record. And they're going to shut down a lot of what's going on in Virginia, but unfortunately a lot of it's going to pass because Bloomberg and his friends spent millions of dollars to buy those legislative seats. Elections have consequences. You know, we've been working very closely with the White House, not just on shutting down federal attacks on our gun rights, but also working on the state level as well. I've been in contact with the White House 8 times over the last 3 months. I've met with them in the West Wing. I have another meeting scheduled for next month, actually later at the end of this month, to work on strategies nationally to help protect our rights. President Trump is standing with us to help make the Second Amendment great again. He understands our problems with red flag laws and no due process. He just went through an impeachment with no due process. Political reality is in the face of these new threats, and we need to step up our game. And we're doing that in many ways. Probably the most effective way we're doing it, and it's happening here in Arizona as well, is our Second Amendment sanctuary movement. In Virginia now, there's over 200 counties and cities that have joined the Second Amendment sanctuary movement that will not enforce any of the unconstitutional gun laws that the Virginia legislature is trying to pass. In Illinois, a vast majority of the counties have now become Second Amendment sanctuaries as well. They're popping up all across the country, in every western state, even in places like New Jersey, known for their anti-gun activities. We now have cities and counties that are Second Amendment sanctuaries. Here in Arizona, I believe, the last count I knew of, we have 4 counties, and more on the way. We must fight smart. We must fight to win. Now is the time for us to get more active and get more people involved. This is a major battleground state. As Arizona goes, so goes America. Bloomberg and his billions is targeting Arizona in this coming election cycle, not just with his presidential campaign, but with millions of dollars to try and change who controls your House of Representatives and your state Senate. He wants to do here in Arizona what he did in Virginia. You and I have our work cut out for us. Right here, every gun owner in America is counting on us. We have to stand firm here in Arizona and win. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan Gottlieb. All right, a little bit of business. I want to thank all of our sponsors, all of the wonderful businesses that have come out here to support us, because believe it or not, like I said in my speech, some people believe that the Second Amendment is a political issue, and so as we were asking different businesses that are invested in what we do with the Second Amendment, a lot of them were like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't get involved in that, it's too political. So the people that did come out, all these vendors, please extra support them, yes? Among those is azguntees.com, who very generously printed these awesome placards, these awesome signs. Please come over here in front of these 2 green booths and load it up. Take several, pass them around to your neighbors out there in the crowd. When we have pictures up, we want the words to speak for us in those still pictures, and these signs help do that. So thank you, azguntees.com. All right, our next speaker coming right up. Marissa Hamilton. Now listen, Marissa has already lived through one of the greatest evils there is, and that is domestic and sexual abuse. She is a survivor. She doesn't call herself a victim, she calls herself a survivor. Yes? And she, because of that experience, has become a passionate gun advocate, gun rights advocate, because she is not going to ever be a victim. Welcome to the stage, Marissa Hamilton.
Wow! Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out here to protect our Second Amendment. It's the day after Valentine's Day, so I have a poem. I'm a horrible poet, but we're gonna go with this one. Roses are red, violets are blue. I conceal carry because I love you and me too. As Cheryl said, I am a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault. And I am here today to tell you that gun rights are victims' rights. I'll take it one step further. Dear Moms Demand Action, please listen closely. Gun rights are women's rights too. I went and testified on Thursday for a law that would further protect us, which would eliminate gun-free zones at government buildings. And the reason why I went and spoke about this is because I used to work for Councilman DeCiccio at the City of Phoenix, and then there was one evening where I left work late. I was working hard for all of our constituents, and there was a homeless man that was having a mental health episode standing in our parking garage on the stairway. And he was just at the length where he could get to the elevator or block me on the stairway, both ways. And he kept charging at me and going to attack me. I was unarmed. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I am someone that's already faced violence. I have trained to protect myself in the public, but our government disarmed me. Some people haven't been able to relate to being a survivor of domestic violence. I'll tell you briefly what it's like. Every day when I pull up to my house, I have to look to see if there's anything out of order. I have to see if my dogs are approaching the fence in a normal way. And if I see anything out of order, I have to go inside and do a sweep of my house. Every single room, every nook and cranny. When I'm out and about, I constantly have to be aware of who's around me in case my abuser is there. Because after 7 years of having left him, he still contacts me several times a year. But he's become crafty. He's learned how to just passive-aggressively threaten me so that I can't get an order of protection against him. He never attacked me with guns, and that's the great fallacy. You see, the anti-gun zealots, I call them anti-gun bigots. They really like that word. The anti-gun bigots, they like to use people like me to disarm all of you. Moms Demand Action said last week, we don't need a bunch of crazy cowboys running around our city. Here's our cowboys and our cowgirls. Make some noise, let them know we're here. I gotta tell you, I feel the safest the entire year. I'm pretty sure if there's my abuser or anyone that sexual assaulted me in the audience, I'm pretty much good. You know when I didn't feel safe? When I was working at the City of Phoenix and couldn't carry my weapon and had to cross the street at night in the dark every single day. Gun control laws hurt victims the most. Red flag laws have been designed to be weaponized against people like me. Because the only thing that needs to happen is someone needs to wage some false accusation against me, anonymously, and now I'm disarmed for a month. It's open season on my life. Mom Demands Action said last week, I don't represent them. No, you don't, because you constantly are trying to risk my life. and my safety and the safety of everyone in this audience. The thing that we should be focusing on, because I don't want violent people to be able to have access to a gun and kill me, but someone that's truly violent. Not all of us. We're here to protect our communities. And the thing is if we really cared about violence, we would be focusing on the nature of violence and helping to heal those people. Most people that are violent because they suffered trauma or abuse when they were young. And we don't address that. In fact, we make people as a society sometimes feel bad for getting the help that they need. Or we create a government that weaponizes against them, so now they're afraid to tell the challenges that they're facing. That's wrong, that's immoral, and that is what needs to change. Disarming the people that protect us in the community protects us when there's a crisis, when there's a public execution, when there's a public suicide. That is what these gun attacks have been. And we don't have time to wait for the police. We need to be able to be armed. We need to be able to be trained. We need to be able to protect our community. That is why we have the Second Amendment, in addition to protecting us from our government. When I got my order of protection, the judge was crystal clear with me. He said, this is just a piece of paper. Guess what? Gun-free zones are just a piece of paper. It's just a sign. And he said, don't count on this to protect you. It won't. Make sure you go and get a gun. This is what the judge told me. Get a gun and learn how to use it. I now have multiple guns and I know how to use all of them. This here is an extended magazine from the gun that I conceal carry with, P365. It holds 12 rounds. This is not an assault magazine. This is a magazine so that my pinky can rest on my gun and make sure I hold it properly. Senator Rebecca Rios. Now wait, I do like her style. She has nice clothes. She wants to ban this and ban my concealed carry gun because it has 12 rounds. That's anti-woman. I need this for my pinky. And if you're gonna ban that, that makes my gun less safe. Until you are able to provide private security for every single one of us and guarantee we will never have a government that eliminates any single one of our rights or steals from us via taxation, we need a Second Amendment. The Democrats have shown, and I want to make this clear, there are Democrats in this audience right now that are afraid to come out of the closet. There are independents right now that are afraid to come out of the closet. Support them. You are all part of our community to protect the Constitution and protect America. And I'm here to tell you to check every single politician before you vote for them and make sure they are not going to infringe on our rights. Because if they are passing laws that are gun control laws, if they are not passing laws to focus on the nature of violence, they are lying to you. And do not vote for them. In fact, if they are currently your representative, take them out via the means of the next election. This election is the election of our lifetime because we are barely holding on to our Second Amendment in Arizona. We are barely holding on to it at the city of Phoenix. So make sure that you activate and make sure that you start voting. And if you're not registered to vote, go to the table to register to vote and start supporting the candidates that will support your Second Amendment. Gun rights are victims' rights and gun rights are women's rights. Thank you all.
Thank you, Marissa. We appreciate that. Speaking of politicians, I just want to mention that we have a few that have come out and are supporting us today. Of course, Kelly Townsend is on the speakers list. Kelly, Representative Sylvia Allen is here with us. Where are you, Sylvia? Frank Carroll is here. There's Frank. I know that Tim Dunn, my representative, was wanting to be here. I don't know if he made it. He had a funeral to attend this morning. His grandmother had passed away. But, you know, folks, these politicians, they have a lot of power, and voting is not enough. You've got to get out there and get active. I'm a PC in my district. I work for these candidates, and I hope that you will too. Go knock on some doors, talk to your neighbors, sign petitions, get active, get involved. We're a little bit out of order, but I'm bringing it back together again right now. This is a guy who truly here in Arizona should need no introduction whatsoever. A few years ago, a group of immigrants into our state, most of them from restricted zones, came to Arizona and they tasted freedom. And after a little while of tasting freedom, they said, hey, we'd like some more of this. And they got together and they created the Arizona Citizens Defense League. And just a few years after that, we got constitutional carry back in Arizona. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of the Arizona Citizens Defense League, Mr. Dave Kopp.
I'm a short guy. Yeah, I'll get it right. I am Dave Kopp, president of the Arizona Citizens Defense League, one of the 4 co-founders. And I got a question for you. How many people had time to come here today? I don't have time to be here. I got a family, I got a job, I got bills, I got all kinds of stuff I got to do. I do not have the time to be here. But I made it. Just like all of you made the time to be here. And it's an important distinction because I hear from people all the time, I don't have the time to do that. I don't have the time to vote. I don't have the time to run for office. Of course not. You make the time. Just like you make the time for your family. You make the time to pay your bills. You make the time for the important things in your life. And this should be one of those things. And I gotta tell you, I am absolutely, my heart swells to see so many folks here today. I can't tell you how much it means to folks like me to see everybody out here supporting their rights. Because you made the time. What I want to talk to you about for the most part is how you can make that time work for you. First and foremost, hey, join AZCDL. There you go. Booth right over there. You can always join on the website, www.azcdl.org. We are the guys down here in the trenches. Every legislative session for 15 years, this is what we do. We watch these bills. If any of you have ever been on our website, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, again, www.azcdl.org. Look for the bill tracking page under legislative. Every bill, good or bad, that has to do with your right to keep and bear arms, we're watching it. It's on that page. You can find it. If you're not on our alerts list, join our alerts list. Same thing. Look on that web page. Subscribe to alerts. Every time one of these bills actually moves anywhere, we'll let you know. Go on there to our Legislative Action Center. When one of these bills is moving, whether it's going to a committee hearing, whether it's going to a floor vote, you'll find on that Action Center a letter to send to your representatives. Hey, I support this bill. I want you to vote for it. Hey, I don't like this bill. Kill it. Whatever is necessary, we make it easy for you. You go on there, put your name and address in once, it will remember you. And then from that point on, it's a couple of mouse clicks. You can send the letter as is, or if you want to change it, you can change it. Trying to make it easy for you, because none of us has time. If you are not registered to vote, There's some folks over this way. One of the LDs, and I don't remember which one, my apologies. One of the LDs is registering people to vote. If you're not registered to vote, get registered. This next election, we have one pro-rights majority vote in the House and 2 in the Senate. If that flips, bills like 1625 start moving. All we have to do is look at Virginia. The pro-rights majority died. All they did was get a foothold, not even a big majority, just a majority. And if you don't know anything about the legislative process, and I can't blame you if you don't, because it's kind of boring, but if you don't, the majority controls everything. The majority controls what bills get a hearing. They control what bills go to the floor, even if they've gotten a hearing. They control everything. If you don't have a pro-rights majority, we lose. That's right. That's absolutely right. So please, join up, get active. You don't even have to be a member to use the website and all the tools on it, but we certainly appreciate if you help us out. Get active, make the time, get your friends to make the time. It is just that important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dave. Dave Kopp, Arizona Citizens Defense League. Right now, we want to take a moment to thank some of the sponsors of our event today, and we're going to turn it over to Buffalo to do that.
We'd like to thank the folks at ATFC store. They have Second Amendment swags. They are from Kingman. They're here today. We have the Second Amendment Sanctuary City County Reservation Movement. C. Drake at their booth number 2. They're from Sedona. Actually, we have the Arts and Crafts Sports Apparel in booth 3 and 4. Stop by and see them for t-shirts and flags. And we hope that you'll visit all of the vendors around while you're here today. Thank you.
And we really want to thank all of the vendors who have come out today. It's you make it happen. So right now, another one of our state treasures. This guy has been writing the books about the gun laws. He's been keeping us informed. He's been guiding us in the language that we choose to use. He's the one who came up with that little heart that says guns save lives that so many people have on their chest. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friend, Alan Corwin.
They told me there's a timekeeper. What a crowd! Give yourselves a hand! The worst part of the propaganda that you're getting from what we call the news, and it is propaganda, is that it's subtle. It slips by you. It passes unnoticed. Even on Fox and Tucker Carlson, who I love and work for at the Daily Caller, and certainly in the garbage you get from CNN and MSNBC, and if you watch ABC or NBC or CBS. The newspapers are worse because unlike broadcasts, it doesn't go away. They get you with the words they use and the topics they pick and what they leave out. Did you know if a person is on Fox or CNN and is a news contributor, that word contributor means they're a paid employee? Did you know that? When they say it's nice to see you and they're talking to another talking head, they can't see the person. They only see a lens. And the city that they show behind them, that's not a city. It's photoshopped in, like the first down line on a football field. It is all faked. It's all staged to fool you, and it works. When they talk about a mass shooting and active shooters, that's a lie. Shooting is a sport. It's the #2 most popular sport in America. Did you know that? It's bigger than golf. And golf is on the front page a lot. Shooting never is, because they don't want to promote shooting. Shooting to them is a crime. Mass murder and murderers, which are crimes, which is true, they hate those words, so they don't use them. Guns are fun. And you know that when you go to a range, especially if you bring somebody new. After they shoot, they smile. Reporters never go to a range, and they have no idea that shooting is fun. Guns save lives. Guns stop crime. Guns protect you. Guns keep you safe, and guns are why America is still free. The media never says this because it defeats their agenda. Everyone's view has been subtly twisted by what we call the news because it's propaganda. And it's worse than that. It's dangerous. Let me give you a couple of quick examples. There is no China. There's only communist China, Red China, the communist Chinese, the brutal communist dictatorship, the Chi-Coms, who we used to recognize as a lethal nuclear enemy determined to take over the world and make it safe for communism. The media has brainwashed you out of that with talk of trade deals. The Chi-Coms are running re-education camps and actual genocide for 1 million native Uyghurs living in their north, who cling to their old ways, people who missed the Cultural Revolution and erased religion. I know you don't know much about that because you watch the news. Genocide without news from our trading partner. You keep hearing from enviro wackos who tell you we're running out of water. Have you heard we're running out of water? Earth has all the water it ever had and ever will have, and it isn't changing. We're a planet. It can't lose any, it can't gain any. It's simple physics. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not running out of water. The water's getting dirty. Well, here's a spoiler alert, folks. We live on a ball of dirt. The rivers run on dirt. All the water's in an ocean, and the ocean sits on dirt. The water evaporates. It comes down as rain. The water you're drinking is the same water the dinosaurs pooped in. We're not running out of water. We're running out of environmental wackos. And the media supports wackoism all the time. Socialists, who we used to recognize as mortal enemies of America, who stand against everything America holds dear, are now praised by the so-called news. And they run for office without media objection. Listen to these words carefully. A socialist cannot take the oath to become president because the person must swear to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Their platform swears to destroy the Constitution. They cannot take the oath. They are disqualified. Swearing to take your gun that you already own is infringement by definition. Infringement is banned. It is forbidden by the Constitution. Democrats disregard this, and they're using blind, paranoid fear of armed Americans to attract votes. There are only two reasons why anybody would support that. They're brainwashed, or they are enemies of the United States. It gets worse. Gunless gunophobes say they should take away all the guns. Who is they? The government. But they think Trump is a Nazi. They want to give all the guns to the Nazis. That is irrational, bizarre, and delusional. The Democrats promote this with support from the news media. The media is dangerous. If you read H.R. 8, are you the timekeeper? I don't like you. If you read H.R. 8, their so-called assault weapons ban, it's nothing of the sort. For one thing, assault is a kind of behavior. It is not a kind of hardware. I read H.R. 8. The media has not. H.R. 8 bans handguns and shotguns and rifles if they have a grip. It says only a pistol grip. But on page 11, it says pistol grip means anything that can function as a grip. All guns have a grip. When they say ban assault weapons, the bill says ban everything. That's what the bill says. That's what they're after. That's how these people operate. Now, is anybody here pro-gun? I can't hear you. What? It's a bad idea, and here's why. They think guns are bad, so if you're pro-gun, you're bad. And what does it make them? Anti-gun, which they think is good, because guns are evil. I think you're pro-rights. Is anybody here pro-rights? If you're pro-rights, what are they? Anti-rights. They are anti-rights, anti-freedom, anti-liberty, anti-self-defense. If you say you're pro-gun, they think you're the devil. If you say you're pro-rights, they're anti-rights, and you take back the language, which we have to do, because the media kills us with it. I have two pieces of advice. Take a newbie shooting, because it brings them to our side. And it's a two-step process. Bring them to your home or go to their home and show them an unloaded sidearm. An unloaded sidearm. When they pick it up, they find out it's heavy. They don't know that. Whoa, it's heavy. And they learn trigger control, muzzle control, how to align the sights, how to work the mechanism, and then they're ready to go to a range. And by showing them an unloaded gun, you build desire, and they want to go to a range instead of being afraid. It's a two-step process. You show them an unloaded gun, you lower the fear, and they go, whoa, can I shoot this? Now you bring them to the range. And the second thing is this. I have a 1-hour program for schools and rotaries and churches and synagogues and your men's club, where I will open your eyes to what's on in the media. You will never look at your television set the same way again. So arrange that. Bring me to your group. Let me open their eyes, and you will learn something. Put an end to the propaganda on your TV screen, and I'll do it wherever you are. Find me backstage. Let's do it. Save your guns, save your rights, save the nation without bloodshed. Thanks for listening, and may God save America. Now we have a... Go ahead.
Thank you, Alan. We have a news right now. It's news for you. It's big news. I want to invite Dave Kopp back up to the stage, and he and Alan will tell you all about it.
We have a special announcement here at this rally. How many of you remember this? Dave and I worked on this together. We plastered the state with Gun Save Lives posters and the Train Me Arizona program when Dave got constitutional carry enacted in 2010, 10 years ago. I used to have red hair. I'm getting older.
I was black.
You were black? Black lives matter. Black guns matter. I heard that in North Korea, no lives matter. Train Me Arizona and the Arizona Citizens Defense League Foundation are merging. We signed the papers today, and this is going to be rejuvenated and reborn. And you're going to start seeing it everywhere. Now, the city of Phoenix didn't like the message. They sued us to censor us, and we sued back with the Goldwater Institute and the ACLU. It's a free speech issue, and we won after 3.5 years. We're going to come back stronger than ever. You guys can support it by joining the AZCDL, the AZCDL Foundation, the entire organization. And Train Me Arizona's goal is to train everybody in gun use, marksmanship, gun safety, and we're going to get it into the schools. So thank you very much. Go to the AZCDL booth, learn more. We have brochures. I'll be around, we'll talk. And thank you everybody for supporting our rights and being pro-rights. I'm pro-rights. I'm pro-rights. I'm pro-rights. I can't hear you.
All right, I'm a little shorter than Alan Corwin, okay? All right, coming up next, we have one of our elected representatives. That is such an important word to keep in your mind. When you are voting for someone and electing someone, you want them to represent you, what you stand for, what your values are, right? We call them our leaders far too often. They're not our leaders. They are our public servants. They are our representatives. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. And one of those awesome people is Miss Kelly Townsend. She is with the Arizona House in Mesa 16. She's in her 4th term in the Arizona legislature. She is a Second Amendment supporter. She helped stop red flag laws that our Governor Ducey, yes, our Governor Ducey is very trickily trying to say, no, I don't support red flag laws, but I do support stop laws. They're the same thing. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. And she is now running for the Arizona Senate. I give you Representative Kelly Townsend.
I just love you guys so much.
Back at you.
Speaking of love, Marissa, right here, mentioned a poem because it's after February 14th, right? So I've got a poem for you. What we got going on with the sound? All right, ready? Arizona is red. Democrats are blue. If we lose the majority in this legislature, it's red flag laws for you. How many seats are we away from losing the House? Essentially, it's one, because we will no longer have the majority. We'll have to share with the Democrats. It will be split. How about the Senate? 2. That's really scary, because not too long ago we had a super majority, and over the years, as I've been involved and many of you have been involved, we've watched our majority dwindle down to 1 seat, and we are 1 seat away. If we lose, and Dave Kopp mentioned this aptly, if we lose, you will have red flag laws in Arizona. It is of utmost importance that you get involved. Everyone is busy. We all work hours upon hours. But if we do not get involved, if you do not go out and make sure that Republicans get reelected and recover some of the seats that we lost, it's going to be over. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I can't emphasize it enough. If you do not get out and work, when we lose our gun rights, we cannot complain. You must do it. Dave mentioned almost everything I was going to say in my speech. So in times like this, and I usually do this anyway, I go to see the scripture of the day to see what it is that God wants me to tell you guys. And so that's what I did again today. I'm going to read you the scripture of the day for Bible Gateway. It's 1 John 4:10. It says, "This is love. Not that we are loved, but that he loved us first and sent his son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins." And I prayed and I said, what would you like me to get out of that? And I believe what God would be telling all of us today. We don't do this because we love our country so much as we should be fighting and working because our founders, our fathers first loved us and did what they did for you and for me. Is that correct? So I'm going to ask you to do something a little unconventional. I'm going to ask for everyone's attention behind me and in front of me. I want you to close your eyes. Every one of us here has the DNA in your blood, in your bones, in your tissues that belonged to a forefather. I ask you to just take a moment and feel that blood coursing through your veins. What would they ask of you today? Where are they? The founders are in graves right now. You are up to bat. It is up to you. It is up to me to preserve our rights. I stood at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in 2012 when I was first elected, and I went back to DC and we watched the exchange of the guards, and I listened to taps as I looked over Washington, D.C., and Barack Obama had been reelected.
Get it rolled.
And I asked myself the question, I asked God, is this taps for our country, taps for our rights, the setting of the sun? It cannot be. I beg you. Go beyond national politics and look inward to Arizona. We need each and every one of you to become involved. It is desperate. It is desperate. It's not Washington that's going to come and take your rights. It's in this building right here. And they have been working and are organized and daily are going out knocking on doors to elect more Democrats. And I will also tell you, it's not just Democrats. There are Republicans that want to take your gun rights. So the question is, what do you do? What can I do? I'm one person, right? We have districts in Arizona that are especially vulnerable. District 28, which is northeast Phoenix, up in there by Scottsdale. Very vulnerable to lose a seat in the Senate. We lost both the seats in the House, and we can get them back. But one of the reasons I think we lost those 2 seats in the House is because the 2 Republicans running couldn't stop fighting each other. And the people were sick and tired of the fighting, and so they went with the Democrats. So we lost the seats. If you are fighting a fellow Republican, a fellow constitutionalist, stand down. Turn your aim at those that are trying to get into this building and into that building that want to take your rights. No more fighting each other. Bury the hatchet and organize. One of the things you can do to organize is become a precinct committeeman. Governor Ducey, which rightfully has begun to turn his opinion about red flag laws, I believe was persuaded by the precinct committeemen at the annual meeting. Who was at the annual meeting? Right? They were the ones. Very important position. A precinct committeeman is basically a delegate that you've seen. You need to get involved because they will show you what to do, how to help the candidates. You can go online and sign their signatures so to get them on the ballot. Go to the Arizona Secretary of State elections part of the website and sign a petition. Do that. Go to www.beapc.com. It will show you what to do. You have to get involved, you guys. I cannot believe that the second place winner in the primary, Mayor Buddha, what? Buddha something? Buddha gig? What? Booty gig, is that what he said? He recently said we can just scrap the whole Constitution if necessary. Can you believe he got second place? Can you believe who got first place? Bernie? A socialist? I just can't believe it. As a veteran, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Every single one of us has to get involved. Yes, on national politics, but even more so right here. So I'm going to yield the last 30 seconds or so of my time for you guys to my colleague, my vice chair of the elections committee, Frank Carroll, who wants to give you some good news. You guys are waiting, come on up.
Thank you, Representative Townsend, for giving me just a few seconds here to present let's talk about talking control right here. This is it. What is that?
You gotta move up on the mic.
I gotta move up?
Move up on the mic, don't put your hand on it. Just talk right into it.
Well, how can I control it if I don't have my hand on it? Okay.
Use the stand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I mistook this for a handgun, my mistake. Anyway, the piece of news that I want to share with you, and it kind of dovetails. First, let me just start with one real quick thing. This week, my father passed away after 2 years of battling his physical health. He's a Korean War veteran. He served in that conflict, fighting the communist Chinese, and when he came back to America after the war, he married a first-generation Chinese American, and I'm here today. So in his memory, and I'm going to add that to it, I have a resolution right now that's being heard in Judiciary on Wednesday morning, HCR 2033. So if you I see all this technology out here, you can look it up. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I'm just going to basically say this. Every single Republican House member and every single Republican senator in our legislature co-sponsored my resolution. They are reaffirming their oath to you and to the state of Arizona, upholding the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Arizona, The words are perfectly clear. We will hear this on the floor after it gets done in committee. So stand by. We need to hear from you. Remind them of their oath. Okay, they just said by signing on that they will reaffirm their oath, and that's what it should be. And by the way, the other side refused to even touch it. Just so you know. Talk about the Democrats. Okay? So be there for us. You guys are great. I appreciate the turnout today. And stump for one thing. I won't stump for my office. I'm going to stump for one thing, ask you to do the same thing. Stump for the Tree of Liberty. It's still well-rooted. It's still growing. And we're doing this for you, Dad, too. Thank you all.
Riders USA would like to remind you to stop by the Republican LD 26 booth for voter registration. If you're not registered to vote, get over and see them. We also have Girl Scout cookies. Melissa, see Melissa at booth 6. And you can get yourself some Girl Scout cookies. Also, the Convention of States is at booth 7. They're working on initiatives for the state. And also, Come Shoot With Me Incorporated. See Jason down at booth number 8. They have a whole training program that they'll put you in. Also, the Arizona Republican Liberty Caucus is one of our speakers. Ben will be here a little bit later. They're in booth 9, so stop by and see them. We're glad you came and visited with us today. We apologize if you can't hear in the back. We couldn't afford a $10,000 sound system.
All right, one quick bit of business. A young lady has lost her wallet. Her first name is Christine. If you've lost your wallet, your name is Christine, find any police officer. They will take you to where it is to retrieve it. All right, and we want to recognize a couple other of our elected, what did I say? Are they our leaders? No, right? They are our representatives. Keep that word in the front of your mind as you are reviewing what each person you're going to vote for stands for. I want to recognize Walt Blackman from LD6 right here. And Senator Sylvia Allen, also from LD6, out there, probably working the crowd. Probably shaking lots of hands, kissing babies, love it. All right, coming up next, this gentleman, you probably know him mostly as a journalist for Breitbart News, an award-winning journalist. Multiple awards this young man has won. A.W.R. Hawkins, he is also a distinguished historian. A.W.R. has a master's in U.S. history from West Texas A&M University and a Ph.D. This is Dr. A.W.R. Hawkins I'm about to bring to the stage, a Ph.D. in military history from Texas Tech University. So when he speaks about the Second Amendment, it is from a place of true understanding of its historical context. I bring you A.W.R. Hawkins. You're young. Youngish, right?
A.W. talks loud and right into that mic.
Talk loud. Can you hear me? Let's do a quick test. If any of you have seen the Adam Sandler movie, Fairy Tale or something, and they talk about Nottingham, I say nodding, you say ham, nodding. Let's do it a little different, because that's no fun. Ready? I say come and you say take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. I still don't think you're hearing me good. Let's do it one more time. I say come and you say take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. Now we're on the same page. Good to be with you all. I want to talk to you real quick about things both here and nationally. You know, I write a lot of what I write is national, but I also write about issues here. But I want you to think about this. Here you have SB 1625. I've seen the signs around. Very important piece of legislation. They're so benevolent, they are, that they will give you the option to register your AR-15 or surrender it. Very benevolent, those Democrats that sponsored that, right? Folks, no. So we can't do SB 1625, but talking about it is not enough. It has to translate into phone calls, into emails, into tweets, into all kinds of communication. That's what we have to do. When we think about nationally, you saw in Virginia on January 20th, 2020, what were there, 25,000 people gathered? But what happened over the last 2 weeks? The Democrat-controlled legislature passed 8 gun controls. They don't care about the rally. They don't care about this rally. The only way that rally has force is if those people show up and vote in November. That's the way this rally will have force. You show up and you vote, and you don't go by yourself. Take somebody with you to vote. It's not that corny. You're saving your country. Take somebody with you. And before you do that, do as Alan said when he was up here. Take them shooting. I don't think he's the only one who said it. I don't know what your experience is, and it's very dangerous when you begin to compare experiences. But my experience is I've never shot with anyone who didn't want to go shooting again. Someone especially who's been scared of guns their whole life, you take them shooting and they want to go again, and oftentimes they want to buy a gun so they take their own gun next time. And we all know once somebody gets used to shooting a gun and carrying a gun for self-defense, they're not going to vote for people who want to take away the ability to shoot a gun and carry a gun for self-defense. So that's a way that you can bring in pro-gun voters without even knowing the lingo. Just take them shooting. But if you don't do it, SB 1625 won't just be pushed in Arizona. It'll be pushed in every state where the Democrats take control. What we see happening in Virginia right now, as I say, 8 gun control bills have already passed the House. I think the Senate will start taking them up this week. Governor Ralph Northam has already made clear he's going to sign every one of them that hits his desk. That state is going to crumble under the weight of gun control. The only hope for it is that all the people who attended that January 20th rally show up and vote in November. Now listen, we've looked at states, we've looked at states across the country, look at Arizona, think about the national situation. There is a moderate Democrat, now listen, I've never met one. They say there is such a creature. I've never met one. I've always heard they exist, and then when they start talking, they sound like Mike Bloomberg. And Mike Bloomberg supports an assault weapons ban, which is the Democrat way of saying your SKS, your AR-15, your AK-47. They want to ban that. They want to ban your high-capacity magazines. You know what that means in Virginia? 12 rounds. 12 rounds is high. In New York, it's 7. So it depends on what state you're in. I don't know what Bloomberg's plan is, but he wants to ban high-capacity magazines, whatever the arbitrary rule is. And he wants to criminalize private gun sales. And we could go on and on. I've talked to people here. You remember after the Texas church shooting? I think it was December 29, 2019. Jack Wilson shot that attacker and killed him within seconds. Bloomberg comes out later that day, and what's he say? I'm glad the people are safe, but congregants shouldn't be armed. Only law enforcement. Look, I support law enforcement. But the thing is, I got to have a plan between the 3.5 minutes when I call them and they get to my house, or the 12.5 minutes, depending on where you live, or the 27 minutes. If you're in rural Colorado, if it's 27 minutes, what are you going to do for 27 minutes? You're going to barter? You're going to beg for mercy? You're going to offer up one of your kids to try to appease the animal? No, sir. You come in my house, I'm going to cut you in half with a 12 gauge. And that should be all of our attitudes, right? But the Democrats want to take that away at the state level and at the national level. So we're motivated to vote. We vote not just to stop SB 1625 in Arizona, but we vote to stop the attacks like we see in Virginia, and we vote to be sure the presidency doesn't go to a gun grabber like Bloomberg. If we don't vote, someone before me, I heard him say that how important this election is. It's crucial because we're right on the cusp of a true victory. You know, we're one Supreme Court justice away, and that a lot of people forget that. We're one justice away from ruining the Democrats' dreams for decades, right? We have Gorsuch. We have Kavanaugh. We need one more, and that means we need 4 more years. We need 4 more years. I'm just telling you, folks, I'm glad you're here. And I hope when you go shooting next weekend, you take someone new with you you've never taken. And I hope they take someone with them after that. And then when you go vote, so many people are going, y'all have to take a van to get to the voting booth. I hope that's how it works. That's what we have to do. All this energy has to translate into voters in the booth. We have to stay focused. One more time. I say, come in. You say, take it. Come in. Come in. Thank you, guys.
AWR Hawkins, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, AWR. Our next speaker is the Vice President of the Arizona State Rifle and Pistol Association. He's a former Marine, former law enforcement. He's a great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Montanarella.
What a beautiful crowd. What a beautiful crowd. Okay, so pretty much for most of the day we've heard doom and gloom, and we know what the dangers are to people taking our rights away from us. We all know what the dangers are. I want to focus on the positive. I want to focus on everything that's good about us, good about the Second Amendment, and good about everything that's happening that's positive for our side. It's all about attitude, right? So the contrast between us and the other side who would take our rights away has never been more stark. It's never been more obvious. We have the right attitude. We are winners from top to bottom. We are winners. That's what we're all about. We're all about inclusivity. We're all about, when you think about it, this is the ultimate big tent movement. The media and the press will never show this crowd. Because what do you see here? You see all walks of life, all races. You see people coming together for a common cause. The only thing we care about as Second Amendment folks, when it comes to color, is do you prefer FDE or black on your guns? When it comes to discrimination, the only thing we care about is do you prefer a 1911 or a Glock? And we all know that the 1911 is the greatest handgun ever made. The other thing is, what is this? This is a rally. This is a celebration of our rights. What does the other side do? They protest. Everything is a protest. They want to take away our guns. They want to take away our religion. They want to take away our health care. It's all about taking stuff away from us. What do we want to do? We want to preserve what we got. We want to expand it. We want to make it even better. It's all about attitude. We have the right attitude on our side, which is why ultimately we are going to win. We are going to win. We have the right attitude. Okay, so when you think about it, if this were a protest from the other side, what would you see? Antifa going crazy. You would see trash everywhere. You would see all the law enforcement officers here in riot gear. Hey, if you see one of these great law enforcement officers that are out here supporting us and keeping us all safe, please thank them for their service. Please tell them that they're welcome, that we support them, and there is no safer place in Phoenix today than right here with us. Make sure you let them know that. It's all about attitude. Okay, but look how inclusive this crowd is. We got African Americans, we got Latinos, we got women, we got men, we got gay, straight, Jews, you name it, we got it here. Okay? And we welcome all of you. We could care less what color you are or where you come from. Our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, we support you. If you support the Second Amendment and stand with us, we stand with you. And you will never go back to the way things used to be as long as you're part of this movement. And we could care less who you marry. Hell, you got a right to be as miserable as the rest of us. Go ahead and marry whoever the hell you want. Just don't try to take away our guns and our rights. We will support you in everything. But see, the media and the press will never show this. You will never see this because this is not the narrative that they want to portray about who we are, really. We are patriots, we are Americans, and we are freedom fighters. Every one of us is our own first responder. No one is going to take away a damn thing from us. But the media is not going to show that. They're not going to portray that because it goes against their narrative. The rally on January 20th in Virginia is a perfect example. The media was praying that something would go wrong, that somebody from our side would do something stupid to make us all look bad. What did they see? They saw a bunch of Second Amendment patriots taking selfies with police officers and state troopers. That's what they saw. They saw us picking up our own damn trash after the rally was over with. They saw people hugging and fist bumping and talking about their guns and what kind of AR-15 is that and what do you like, and it was an awesome, awesome event, and the media absolutely hated it because it went completely against what they wanted to say about us. I hope, and if the media is listening, I know you're here, be honest about what you see here today. Be honest about who we really are and what we really believe in and what we really want. All we're trying to do is just keep what we already have. We are not the problem. We are part of the solution. Respect that. And God forbid, if any of these legislators who, I hate to say it, there was a time there was actually some pro-gun Democrats. I don't know where they're at now, but they're certainly not here today. But they're all being bought. The people that are trying to take away our rights, they're being bought by billionaires and politicians from New York and California. They're for sale. They're completely willing to sell your rights down the river for a couple campaign contributions. So to those legislatures, you don't represent California, you don't represent New York, you represent us here in Arizona, and you will not be bought. But the one thing, and you've heard it time and time again all day, the one thing they can't buy that is more precious than anything is our votes. Get out and vote. Tell Bloomberg and Mark Kelly, yes, I said it. Tell Bloomberg and Mark Kelly and Rebecca Rios, our votes are not for sale. There's nothing you can do or say. If our vote takes away our rights, forget about it. Get out and vote. Exercise your rights. November 3rd is pivotal. We got to re-elect Trump. We got to strengthen our legislature. And we got to hold the Senate, especially here in Arizona. Don't let Mark Kelly win. Thank you very much. God bless you all. God bless America. And thank you to Riders USA for putting together this awesome, awesome event.
Riders USA would like to invite you, if you do not have a gun or you would like to win a gun today, we will be drawing for an AR-15, a pistol, and 500 rounds of 9mm. If you do not have a drawing ticket, go to the northwest corner to the Riders USA booth and purchase your ticket. We will have the drawing at the end of today's event. We'd also like to thank the Office Tatum. We'd like to thank the Founding Fathers Ministries. They are education speakers. The Second Amendment Foundation is one of our speakers today from Seattle, Washington. Also, Arizona Firearms and the U.S. Law Shield. Stop by their booths and get their information. Let them know you appreciate them being here at the Second Amendment rally and invite them back next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Buffalo, for that. All right, our next speaker flew in on her own dime. This is of the people, by the people, for the people. Our next speaker, Gabby Franco, came to us from Texas. Yes. And she is most widely known for being a contestant on the TV show Top Shot Season 4 and Top Shot All Stars. Can I get a cheer for that? Yes. She has been involved in competition shooting for more than 20 years, which is impossible because I think she's only about 22. But she has won gold and silver medals in many international shooting competitions. Gabby, listen to this, grew up in a place called Venezuela. Venezuela. Look at your signs. Just ask Venezuela. How did it go for them when they gave up their gun rights for the children? How did it go? Not good, thank you. And she watched as her native country deteriorated alongside the rights of the citizen. Her passion to preserve those rights here in America are what bring her here today to speak with us, Gabby Franco. Need to lower the microphone. With great honor, I stand with you in support of our freedom and our country. Almost 20 years ago, I left Venezuela. I left everything and everyone I love. Family, Olympic career, friends, education. Back then, I was surrounded by ideologically divided adults. The vast majority of them were too busy to pay attention to politics or even to vote, while the rest were blinded by flashy socialist ideas. Not even the high probability of participating at the 2004 Olympic Games stopped me from moving to the US. Leaving everything behind was the high price I paid to find freedom again. In April 1999, an important election took place after Hugo Chavez won the presidency. Unfortunately, only 37% of registered voters cast their votes for a referendum. That was the beginning of what led to the change of the Constitution and solidification of the socialist government's power. Venezuela was a wealthy country. Now it is a crumble of misery mixed with a silenced despair. Fellow Americans, hear me well. There's no such a thing as little bit of socialism or some gun control. The ultimate goal of those politicians who promote these ideas are a total transformation of our country as we know it and massive gun confiscation. Invest in the future by voting for politicians who with actions show they protect our freedoms. Virginia is a perfect example of how radical the left has become. According to USA Today, Ernest McGowan, a political science professor at the University of Richmond, said in an interview that Virginians should not worry about radical shift in policy. He was talking about Democrats regaining power in Virginia after almost 30 years. The professor said, and I quote, they are probably more conservative than the average Democrat in the country. Let that sink in. Current Democrat legislators in Virginia are probably the most conservative ones. Listen to me well. Do not pay the price I pay to regain freedom. Let's vote them out. I do know the pain and frustration of gun violence. Family members and friends have been kidnapped, robbed at gunpoint, and killed in Venezuela. Criminals followed a cousin after he withdrew money from the bank. They stole the money and shot him inside of the car at a traffic jam. The law did not allow my cousin nor the criminals to carry firearms. The two dear female members of my family saw the front end of the gun while being robbed. One of the criminals also beat one of the women. Once again, the law prohibits my dear family members from owning guns to protect themselves. I can go on and on for hours, but the common denominator is that gun control makes citizens defenseless, and criminals know it. Some of us are lucky enough to tell the tale, but many others were not. Defend freedom, defend the Second Amendment.
Gun control measures do not deter crime. In fact, disarming law-abiding citizens further increases the criminals' motivation to continue their violent crimes. Gun control reduces their risk and makes their job easier. Disarming law-abiding citizens is not the solution. Instead, let's work to better our society by bringing back values at home and schools. Raising strong and independent adults is a long-lasting solution to the problems we face in our communities. That said, politicians need always to be reminded that the right to own and bear arms shall not be infringed. Fellow Americans, let's stay united and alert to protect and preserve our country and our freedom. I have gone through hardship in the U.S. I have faced death, unemployment, divorce all at once. Yet, it is precisely the strong and effective system of this wonderful country that helped me get back on my feet. Enough with downplaying the greatness of this country. I am a proud Venezuelan, but you bet I am proud to be an American. No country in the world can offer such great opportunities. You can build greatness from nothing. You can inspire others, even if you don't look like them. You can feel free to speak up to protect your rights, even with a broken English. Talk to your neighbors, your friends, your family, and everyone you can. Tell them to vote for freedom, because the United States of America is worth it, and because the price of freedom is too high to let it slip from our hands. Now, my friends, please repeat after me. I love the USA. I love the USA. God bless you, and God bless America.
All right, fantastic. My goodness, what a lesson Venezuela can teach us, yes, if we pay attention. All right, very quickly, we have somebody coming to the stage, Mr. Drake Mitchell. He is with az2a.org, the Arizona Second Amendment Sanctuary Movement, a very important movement.
Hey, Chief, good to see you. Hey, folks, it took about a year, and we started following Virginia's example of pushing county by county, city by city, town by town, for Second Amendment sanctuaries. So we need you to step up. We have 4 counties so far: La Paz, Mojave, Yavapai, and Apache. And just yesterday, the Navajo Nation joined us, becoming a Second Amendment sanctuary. So what I am asking you to do, reach out to us at the Arizona Second Amendment Sanctuary Movement Facebook page. Follow and like. Click on it, join, forward it to your friends. Go to our az2amovement.org website. We need you folks to get involved. Tell us your county and your city in your email. And if you have a special skill, you're an IT person, a Facebook person, you're working advertising, so that we can put you to good use, because we have teams now in all but 3 counties, and 2 of them, like Greenlee, it's so small, I'm not sure what I can do there. It's too far away from a center. But each of you can do something right here. Even if your county gets done, we fill back in for every city and every town. Please reach out to us. We need your support. We need your help in the movement. Thank you.
We'd also like to remind you about Gun Freedom Radio, the Pot of Gold at booth number 15. Please stop by and see them, say hello. The Firearms Coalition, is at 16, booth 16. Stop and see them.
Please.
We'd like to thank the Arizona State Rifle and Pistol Association at booth 17. And also Arizona CDL. If you're not a member, you should be. Thank you.
All right. Wasn't Gabby Franco just awesome? I love Gabby. She has such a great story. As we've mentioned and waved at a few of our elected servants, I noticed that Cena Kerr has joined us back here. And there's Cena. She's state senator from District 13, LD 13. That's where I live. She's mine. And I'm proud of her. Want to tell you something else. This white tent over here at about station number 5 is registering voters. Now there's a myth out there that if you register to vote, then you get on the jury pool. No, that happens when you get your driver's license. Registering to vote has nothing to do with it. Go get registered if you're not registered. And if you are registered, stop by the booth and sign up to be a precinct committeeman. Get involved. Voting's not enough. Be an influencer. Make things happen. Right now, our next speaker, well, you probably know him from KFYI and the Conservative Circus. He's a native of Wisconsin, but he came out here and he tasted freedom, and he liked it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. J.T. Harris.
How you all doing this morning? You know what? I really enjoy doing the Conservative Circus on News Talk 550 KFYI. So many people have come over and said how much they enjoy listening to it. I do appreciate that. But you know what? According to the left, I don't exist. According to the left, I am a unicorn. Because African Americans are not supposed to be comfortable hanging around people with guns.
Bullshit!
But here's the deal. I am not an African American. I am an American of African descent. And when you put the American first, that comes with some responsibilities. With rights, with freedom come responsibility. We have a shared history that is not talked about enough. Coming from Wisconsin to Arizona, the first major freak out I got is when I was getting some boots made and something was sticking out on the side of the bootmaker's hip. I said, "What is that?" He pointed at his gun and he said, "We call this freedom in Arizona." That was my introduction. Because for a lot of people walking around, other folks who are armed, who are carrying ARs, who are packing on the sideline, that is their trigger. They get freaked out about it. But when you understand where that right, where that liberty, where that freedom comes from, all of that fear falls away. As someone has already said today, this is the safest place to be in Arizona. Why are so many people here today? Last year, I'm told there were 500 people here. Today, I am told that there are between 2,000 and 3,000 people here. We had over 200 Harleys roll up in here, followed by a bunch of women in Jeeps, I am told. While they were praying, while we were praying this morning, you heard the engines rolling in. I will tell you why so many people are here today. And I will tell you why the governor and the legislature needs to pay attention to what is happening here today. We the people are sick to death of watching our freedoms get rolled back once a Democrat gets elected into office. We are here today because we are freaked out by what we are seeing in Virginia. They're not taking a pause. It is like a liberal wet dream. They are going after everything from abortion to gun confiscation. We're watching what happens when you give the left a little rope. And it has us very concerned, and rightly so. I'll tell you another reason why we are here today. We have a shared history. And far too often, our history is not being taught. When the Democrats were in power 150 years ago, there was this little thing called slavery. And you know what? The slaves were not allowed to learn the language, to read and write. And the slaves were not allowed to have firearms. Why? Because the moment they owned firearms, they were no longer slaves. The Democrat Party today is trying to re-enslave us because they want to disarm us. And when they disarm us, we no longer can protect ourselves. They expect for the government to protect us. See, it's not being taught that the Constitution and our rights, the amendments, were designed to protect us against the government. This is the only republic on the planet where the Constitution, the founding documents, were designed to limit the government's power.
We the people!
We have a shared history. We have a shared history, but we're told that we're not supposed to like each other if we have a different sexual preference, if we have a different pigmentation. We are told we are not supposed to like each other if we have a different political ideology. Here's the deal. We love people who love this country, our Constitution, our freedoms. If you're against that, then hell yeah, we can't get along. Once you're in power, you try to remove that, I don't give a hot damn if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a lefty or a righty. If you get into power and your design is to take away our God-given liberties, you have become an enemy of the people. And so, my friends, it doesn't matter if we're left, it doesn't matter if we're right. I took a picture of some cats back here. You know, one had on, you know, the ASU logo, and one of them had the U of A logo, and then, you know, that the rivalry here is serious. It's more serious between the, you know, those two colleges than it is between the Packers and the Bears. It's real. And yet, they showed their stuff. I took a picture of it, and like they hugged each other. Why? Because they came together over our Second Amendment rights. No matter what your background is. I just met some cats from Venezuela, all right? They're here because we're free. They will be the first ones to tell you, do not give up your Second Amendment rights. Do not give up your liberties. Do not trust the government. What we need to do is here for more people who are fleeing totalitarian, who are fleeing socialism. We need to understand what we have. We do understand what we have, and that is why you are here today. One more thing. For anybody who doesn't get it, you know them. There's something you can do to help them understand it, something you can do to help them not only learn, but enjoy themselves as they are learning. Have them tune in to News Talk 550 KFYI, 4 to 7, Monday through Friday, to hear the Conservative Circus. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for supporting this cause. Thank you much for loving this country. Thank you very much for understanding and recognizing that God is on his throne and he has blessed us with great responsibility. Let us not give it up.
All right, I think there's flames coming off the microphone. That is a good thing. That kind of passion, we need it. We need it. Listen, I want you, as you're standing here today, as you're milling around, I want you to talk to the people near you. I want you to get to know each other. We need to tighten up our networks of people who are like-minded and passionate. There's a gentleman here somewhere today, came up and introduced himself to me. I wish I had time to give him the microphone. He said when he was 3 years old, on his birthday, that's the day that Hitler marched into Paris. He was living in Paris at the time. And we all know how that story went. He said his dad had registered his firearms. Guess where they came? Knock, knock, knock. Came to his dad's door. Right? That's exactly what happens when they get you to register your firearms. We've already seen the history so many times. Do not let it happen again on our watch or our children's watch.
Hi, dude. 10, 11. You were very intent on headed that way.
Yeah, I was sitting over there in the sun. I got myself good and cooked.
Oh, yeah. Darlene's right there.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys get my voicemail?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Both of you.
I mean, that was really a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, well, yeah, we were there.
Go there and get her and tell her to look at me. I got the camera going.
Okay.